Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be playing with the brand new Lisa Eldridge Liquid Lurex Eyeshadows. I have all 5 of the shades here. So I'm going to be doing eye swatches with each one of these shades and then I'll do a more complete look. And then I'm also going to be doing some comparisons with other formulas and other shades in my collection that I think are comparable to these or worth taking a look at. And just going to share my thoughts on this collection as a whole and on this new formula. So if you'd like to see all of that, just keep on watching. Okay, so just before I get them on my eyes, I just wanted to show you all 5 of the shades swatched. So here's Bianca, Angelica, Lauren, Diana, and Liza. You said that the eyeshadows are inspired by the 70s and Studio 54, and I think that the shades are, if not directly inspired by, the names are definitely inspired by people who frequented Studio 54. I actually watched the Netflix documentary on Studio 54 after Lisa did her reveal video on these, just because I wanted to kind of get some context for the inspiration and so on. I'd recommend watching that documentary if you're interested in it at all. It was pretty good. But yeah, so I'm thinking Bianca Jagger, Angelica Houston, Lauren Hutton, Diana Ross, and Liza Minnelli. I'll try to put up some pictures. I went searching on the internet for photos that would either relate those particular people to Studio 54 or to these shades in particular. So I just wanted to show you those just kind of for fun. And I kind of like to dive into the inspiration a little bit, especially with Lisa Eldridge products. But now I'm ready to get these on my eyes. So I think I'm just gonna do eye swatches to start for 4 of the shades, and then I'll do a full look with the final shade, and maybe I'll add in some other shades as well. So I'm gonna start with Bianca and then Angelica. I apologize if you can hear the wind. It's really windy out today, so you might be hearing that in the background. So here's Bianca, and I just have a little bit of concealer on my eyelids. No primer or anything like that. Just painting that on there, and then I'm gonna take my Katie Jane Hughes Spectrum brush. This is the number 11. And I thought this would be a pretty good one just to kind of blend out the edges there. I wanna keep the coverage pretty opaque on the main part of the lid. But of course you can blend them out to be a little bit more sheer as well. I'm just taking my finger to kind of pat it into the lid. And it's already drying, so you do have to work quickly. And there's what Bianca looks like on the lid. And now into Angelica. And there's Angelica. So right off the bat, I can tell that these are really easy to work with, but they do dry pretty quickly. So you need to work quickly, but it's not really an issue because they're so easy to blend out and manipulate in the way that you want to, that it's not really a problem. And so I just wanted to read out the shade descriptions for each of these shades. So Bianca is a sweet, blushing, minky heather with sparkling notes of silver, pink, green, and lavender pearl. And Angelica is a beautifully wearable, smoky topaz taupe with sparkling dimensions of silver, gold, violet green, and gold pearls. And I'm just gonna turn on my ring light. I'm in 100% natural light right now, but I just wanted to see if the ring light would show off the sparkles anymore. So there are Bianca and Angelica under the ring light. I'm gonna go remove these colors and then we'll get into these warmer true metallic tones, Diana and Lauren. I've removed Bianca and Angelica, and Lisa suggests that you remove these with an oil-based makeup remover, so I used my Pharmacy Green Clean Cleansing Balm, just a tiny little bit on each lid, and then just wiped it off with a damp cloth, and that worked really easily, and no irritation, and there's actually, I don't even see a trace of any glitter left, which is really kind of amazing for glittery shadows like this. So next I want to go in with the shade Lauren on my right eye. So this one I'm just gonna try slightly differently. So I'm tapping it in first before I take the brush. I love this color. I was a little concerned I might find it a little too warm or like too close to the coppery shade. And it is definitely a warmer gold. It's like kind of an orangey, yellowy gold, but it's really beautiful. And I'm just trying layering and building that one up just to kind of see what happens here. And then take my brush and again, just blend out those edges. Now I'm not being exceedingly careful with my application here because I really just want to show you the colors for these swatches. But even with not being very careful, I think, I'd be fine going out with just that on my lids. Looks beautiful. As soon as I saw this shade in Lisa's reveal video, I thought, oh, it reminds me of Klimt paintings. I love Klimt and I love the gold leaf in his artwork. And right after I thought that, she said it is reminiscent of gold leaf and of Klimt. So that was really exciting, and I think it really does. I'll put up a picture of a Klimt work and you'll be able to see that this really does mimic that gold leaf, both the color and that beautiful shining, shimmering effect. So the shade Lauren is described as an exceptional gold leaf metallic shade reminiscent of a gilded Klimt portrait. Red, green, and intense gold pearl give it warmth and dimension. Beautiful. So now let's go into Diana. Beautiful copper shade. I applied a tiny bit of NARS Soft Matte Concealer on my lids after I removed the previous shades, just to even out the tone a little bit. So I did just want to show you, I just put that one layer on and then I had to get up and do something for just about a minute, and there is a little bit of unevenness there. And I think that's because I didn't let it dry completely before kind of moving my lid around. So I do want to show you that I think you'll be able to just touch that up and fix it in the areas that didn't have quite as much coverage, if that happens to you. That looks much better. So in general, I'd say it's probably best to just let it dry down. It dries so quickly that it shouldn't be an issue, and probably by the time you're finished blending out the edges, if that is a step that you're doing, the main lid will be dry anyway. So there's Lauren and Diana. Diana is described as a fiery metallic copper with an intense sienna luster and sparkling notes of red, gold, and magenta pearl. I'll just put the ring light on again, see if that makes any difference. I think artificial lighting tends to show off those sparkly shimmers a little bit better, so I just wanted to make sure to include that as well, because most of the time when we're inside, we're in artificial lighting anyway. So I'm going to remove these and then I'll come back. I'm going to put Liza on both of my lids and do a complete look with that. Once again, I had no issue whatsoever removing those shadows. I did it exactly the same way I did with the previous ones. And I've decided this time not to put any concealer on my lids because I was wondering if maybe that NARS Soft Matte Concealer was a contributing factor in that little bit of unevenness with that one shade there. So I just want to try it on bare lids this time, and I'm going to go right in with Liza. And here is Liza on the lids with the ring light. And Liza is described as an intense charcoal shot through with silvery flashes of stardust, combined with a heady mix of magenta, violet, blue, green, and disco ball silver pearls. Beautiful. And I didn't have any issues with unevenness with this one, so that really does make me think that it was the concealer that I had on my lid. So if you do prime your eyes, or if you put concealer on your eyes before shadow, I might suggest maybe not using one that is too matte, because even though I had applied a really super thin layer of the NARS Soft Matte Concealer, it still seemed to contribute to a little bit of unevenness and drying unevenly. No primer worked really well, actually, so that's definitely an option as well. I love the shade Liza. This one to me really reminds me of the person who might be the inspiration behind the shade. The really glittery, sparkly black is very Liza Minnelli to me. So I think I'm gonna try Bianca on the inner corner here. Just trying to decide what brush to use. I recently got the Katie Jane Hughes Spectrum brush set. It was on sale for Black Friday and just arrived yesterday or the day before, I think. And I'm trying to get a feel for all these brushes. So far, really loving them. I will say the texture of these eyeshadows it's more moussey than I was expecting it to be. Like they're called Liquid Lurex, so I was just expecting them to be a little bit more kind of wet. I mean, they're definitely wet and creamy, but they're just a little bit more airy and moussey than I expected them to be. There's Bianca on the inner corners. I think that's really nice. And I'm going to, I think, use Lauren on my lower lash line. I think Lisa did that in her video as well, and it looked really pretty. So I'm gonna try this gold along the lower lash line. Can't wait to see what shade she comes out with next. I'm sure she'll bring out more shades of these eyeshadows. Wouldn't it be nice to see beautiful warm olive green? I always want an olive green shadow. That would be so nice. And even like brighter colors, like bright pinks, or really intense reds could be so much fun. And more neutrals as well, like lighter champagnes and maybe platinums, cooler toned golds. I'm sure she's got a lot coming, a lot to look forward to. So I didn't re-dip this wand into the shadow before doing my second eye. So that's why it's taken me just a few more kind of dabs onto the skin to build up to the same level. There's just not as much on the wand because I used it on this eye first. So I think that's really pretty, super easy. Let's pull in a little bit of Anjelica here. Just kind of want to try that up above where I have Liza. Just a little bit right there. And then just kind of blend it in. This is probably not the best brush to use for that. I'm going to use this brush. It's a little bit fluffier. There we go. I don't think I would wear all of these together in real life, but we're just playing around, seeing how they can blend and work together. I feel like I need to add Diana because that's the only one that's not on my eyes right now. So I'm going to take a little bit of it and put it over top of Lauren right here on the outer part of the lower lash line. Now let's try a little bit of Liza as a liner. So I'm hoping that applied more in a more concentrated manner along the lash line, it will give us a liner effect. Yeah, it gives a subtle liner effect there. Obviously there's no color contrast because it's going right on top of itself. All right, so I'm going to finish up with some mascara and then I'll be back. We'll look at the whole look in natural light and under the ring light, and then I'm going to do a few comparisons and just round up my thoughts on these beautiful shadows. And here's the completed look with mascara and with the ring light. Now this is not really a fully finessed look, so don't judge too harshly. I did notice one thing though on this eye right here. Don't know if you can see that there is a part that's not blended that well. It's just a little bit more opaque in that certain area right there. And I think that's because I just didn't move fast enough. That's when I was looking for another brush. And although it didn't take me long to get the brush, it makes a difference in the blend. So just be aware that if you do want to use these for like crease work and more blended out, you do have to move really, really quickly. But it is possible to do it. You can see with this eye, there's no streakiness or anything, and the blend was nice there. So you just have to work really quickly if you're gonna blend them out, but I think that these are so stunning. I can't wait to play around with them more. As I mentioned, I probably wouldn't wear this as a full eye look, but I just wanted to kind of try to get every shade on there just so we could see everything together. I just wanted to quickly read Lisa's little blurb on just kind of her inspiration and her description of the formula and the idea of this range as a whole. So she says, easy to use eye embellishment inspired by 70s glamour that will see you through the party season and beyond. With a flattering formula that is both creamy and lightweight, Liquid Lurex eyeshadow has a lustrous, wet look finish with the durable shine that Disco Diva dreams are made of. Each of the 5 seamlessly blendable shades contain a mirror ball effect of multicolored pearls that dance across the lids. So it remains to be seen how they will wear, but I imagine since they dried down so quickly, I don't think they're going anywhere until I'm ready to remove them. The packaging is a classic Lisa Eldridge packaging, very similar to her lip glosses. Basically just a skinnier version of the lip gloss packaging and a tiny little bit taller, but very, very similar, and you know, similar in that it has the doe foot in it as well. The doe foot shape is different from the lip gloss. The lip gloss has a little bit of a kind of, it rounds out at the end and kind of dips in a little bit. This is just more like a flat oval doe foot, which is perfect for that kind of multifunctional use, to use the wider side to really paint the product onto the lid, and then if you wanted to use the edge, you can get a nice, more precise liner using that method. So I wanted to compare these with a couple of other products, both in terms of formula and in terms of shades. The first formula I wanted to look at is these Chanel Laques. These are, in my opinion, not a good formula. I do not like these, and I don't use them because they don't work for me. They're extremely patchy, especially this one here. This is Leme Bronze, I think. Yeah, and it's the worst of the bunch. But just to get a sense of how the formulas compare in terms of how they look, the Chanel is not as glittery as the Lisa one. So it's more of a kind of smooth, quite uniform shimmer, more of a metallic finish rather than the Lisa, which is kind of like a metallic combined with a very fine and refined glitter. So that's the Chanel one there. That's the shade Rose Quartz. Just turning my ring light on so we can really see. So you can see those shimmery particles there in Bianca, and they're much smaller, more uniform shimmer in the Chanel. The feeling of the formula actually is quite similar, like the consistency of it, although I'd say that the Lisa is a little bit thicker feeling and a little bit moussier, and I think that's why it's thicker. And then the other formula that I really wanted to compare is the Stila Glitter Glows. And I think I would try to do one that has a shade that is worth looking at comparing as well. This is the shade Kitten Karma from Stila. I'm just gonna put it right next to Bianca. If we had a spectrum in terms of glitteriness, the Stila is the most glittery, Lisa Eldridge would be in the middle, and then the Chanel Laque would be the least glittery. So you can see there the Stila has a lot more, I would say, different sized glitter particles in it. So it has more of a chunky glitter effect, And I don't say that as a bad thing. I like chunky glitter, but it's just a different effect. So the Lisa Eldridge is just a little bit more uniform and refined. And because of that, I think that the Lisa Eldridge is more versatile in the sense that you can use it to kind of blend out, whereas I don't find that the Stilas blend out very well. They're not really going to give you any kind of shadow in your crease if you blend them out. They're more for a kind of targeted glitter application, in my opinion. And I think that the Stila ones have a slightly less opaque base to them, so they're not going to give as much coverage on the lid either. Next, I wanted to take a look at the Victoria Beckham Lid Luster in Tea Rose. This is obviously not a liquid formula, so it's not comparable in that sense, but I wanted to compare this shade with Anjelica because I think they're kind of similar shades. So there's Tea Rose. I'm trying to get it at a good angle so you can see the shine as well. And there is Anjelica. So they are actually quite similar shades. And I actually think that the glittery effect in these is comparable as well. They're more kind of fine, refined glitters that sometimes could maybe just look like a really bright, shiny metallic, but in other lights or other angles, you can see those shimmery particles in them. But the advantage of the Lisa Eldridge is that it's not going to give you any fallout, which the Victoria Beckham ones do tend to give me. I also wanted to take a look at the Hourglass Scattered Light in the shade Smoke. I think I was thinking of this as a comparison for Anjelica as well. So there's the shade Smoke right in there. It's a little bit cooler, and although Lisa describes Anjelica as a taupe shade, I kind of think it's like a rose gold /taupe. When I first saw it, before I'd seen any shade descriptions, I thought it would be described as a rose gold, but so it's just a little bit rosier than the Hourglass shade, and the Hourglass shade in Smoke is a bit lighter. Again, you're gonna have the same situation with comparing it to the Victoria Beckham in terms of the formula. The Hourglass is of course the powder, and it is likely to give fallout as well. But again, I think you got a similar kind of effect in the refinement of the glittery, shimmery particles in there. I just had one other comparison I wanted to do, which was the Victoria Beckham Honey. So I'm just going to be talking about the shade of this one in comparison to the shade Lauren, because Honey is a golden shade as well. It's in that family of golds, but it's a very different gold from Lauren. So you can see Lauren compared to Honey there. Honey looks like such a cooler toned, more browny, almost bronzy kind of gold, whereas Lauren is really much warmer with a lot more of that kind of yellow and orange influence in it. So I think that's everything I wanted to go over in this video. I do intend to play with these more, and I'm sure I'll be using these Lisa Eldridge eyeshadows in more videos to come, but the purpose for today's video was really just to give my kind of first impressions review, show you all the shades, and play around with different ways to use each of these shadows. So I hope this was helpful for you. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more from me and you haven't subscribed to my channel already, I would love for you to do so. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments. I'd love to see those below. And thanks again so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.